Yes, indeed. For a number of years already, the embassy, the Belgian embassy in Ukraine, has been supporting a number of social projects in Ukraine, and the local center in Kotsiubynske is one of these projects. I consider social responsibility to be part and parcel of any organizations, also of an embassy, and I commend my staff for their engagement and their personal commitment in this type of social activities.
So as of spring year 2014, the Social Assistance Center in Kotsiubynske was taking care of forced refugees from Crimea and Donbass. Assistance given to refugees is a measurement of humanism and social maturity from my point of view. What do you think of that, and what do you think who should be the moderator of that activity, whether it's a society or state?
I think I keep being impressed by the response that civil society has developed in the wake of this humanitarian challenge that has been caused by the annexation of Crimea and the war in the east of Ukraine. And I think it is indeed impressive how volunteer organizations in Ukraine have done their utmost in order to accommodate their unfortunate compatriots that have been displaced in the country, helping them in finding accommodation, finding jobs, finding schools for the children. So a huge effort has been done by civil society, a lot by volunteers. And in a way the state has been catching up somewhat later, also with the help of the international donor community, and is now, I think, in a position that it can provide a legal framework, and also provide the necessary financial means in order to make this process happen. Now, that is exactly the role that the state has, whether it is in Ukraine or in Belgium or wherever in Europe. It is for the state to provide the legal and financial framework in which civil society can operate. But it is not a question of them and us. I think state and civil society are perfectly complementary, but of course the framework has to be there, and then when civil society in its efforts and in the way it is mobilizing let's say the different communities, when they see imperfections, when they see a dysfunctioning state, it is up to the politicians and to those that have the responsibility for policy to respond to that and to listen carefully to what the citizen has to say. Now, civil society is of course made up of different types of organizations, also religious communities, religious societies, the churches as such. I think the civil society taken as a whole is playing a very important role, a very inspiring role as well in Ukraine, and I do respect them for that.
So you might know that despite the obvious missionary efforts that the center and Father Nikolai take for years to support the people from street, to support refugees, there's a information war is taken against Father Nikolai which aims to discredit him. The final goal of those people is to take the building of the center and to take the land of the community in order to give it to the favor to a commercial company to construct a profitable center, commercial center in that area.
Well, if indeed such a campaign is being waged against Father Nikolai and against the center, I would be I would regret it a lot, because I would have thought that the residents of the center are already suffering enough stress in trying to make their lives, in building up their lives again, and in having to cope with the unfortunate situation in which they and their families are finding themselves now. So we should be careful not to cause them even more stress than they are already enduring. And if indeed, as you say, such a campaign is being weighed, I would also feel disappointed, to be honest, in what I thought was a new Ukraine emerging. And if indeed petty commercial interest would be judged more important than the work that is being done at the center, and as we see it, the center is providing a safe haven for displaced families, in giving them the stability, in giving them the environment in which they can rebuild their lives. Well, I think I judge that effort much more important than whatever commercial project would stand in the way of. And I would indeed hope that in the new Ukraine, this sort of habit of mudslinging and smear campaigns, that we would not have it. Ukraine has a golden opportunity now to show to its citizens and to show to the whole of Europe what genuine solidarity is about. And that is what counts for us when we support the local center and when we believe in the work that Father Nikolai is doing.
So we really hope and we really wait when all this disaster in Ukraine would come to its end. And we understand that the center, if it would keep existing, would go back to its social goal to support peoples who are in need, peoples from the street. So how would you see the future of cooperation or support of such a social center?
Mm-hmm. Well, first of all, I would share your hope that there is a soon-to-come peaceful future for Ukraine. So thank you also for your optimism, because if Ukrainians themselves would not believe in this soon-to-come peaceful solution, who else would do it in your place? Then, as I have said, what the center is doing now, also because of circumstances, in welcoming the displaced persons, the families, and in helping them to rebuild their lives, is at this stage very important to us, because it is in itself part of a process that is going on in Ukraine and that will contribute to reconciliation and to peace. So also for that reason we attach a lot of importance to the work of Father Nikolai and to what the families, the residents in the center are realizing themselves, are building and rebuilding themselves. That is absolutely important. And then when the time comes that the center would return to its core business, so to speak, to care for homeless people, to care for sick people, to care for disadvantaged families and so on, of course we will continue to support the center in that and to support Father Nikolai in that work.